for 3 months. 4 months into a marriage, I'm in rehab for 3 months.
From the outside, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman look like the perfect Hollywood couple. Two global stars, a glamorous marriage, and a life many would envy. Red carpets, heartfelt speeches, and family photos all tell the story of happiness. But what if I told you that behind the cameras, their marriage almost ended before it truly began? Just 4 months after their wedding, Keith Urban checked into rehab. His career was soaring, but his private life was spiraling out of control. And Nicole? She was suddenly faced with a choice that could have changed both of their lives forever. This isn't a story about scandal. It's a story about survival, about how addiction, fame, and relentless public scrutiny tested their love, and about how, against all odds, they held on when most people expected them to break apart. Nicole Kidman has lived through the fire of Hollywood, her divorce from Tom Cruise, the shadow of Scientology, endless tabloid rumors, and even ridicule for simply aging in the spotlight. Keith Urban has battled the chains of addiction, criticism from within his own music industry, and the pressure of carrying a perfect image he never truly lived. Yet, somehow, they found a way through it. So what really happened behind closed doors? How did Nicole save Keith from the brink? And what lessons about love and resilience can we uncover from their story? Lessons that matter far beyond fame or fortune. This is the side of their marriage you have never heard before. And once you know it, you'll never look at Keith and Nicole the same way again. Before the flashing lights of Nashville and the glimmer of Hollywood red carpets, Keith Urban was just a boy with a guitar, chasing a dream bigger than himself. Born in New Zealand but raised in Australia, Keith's early years were defined by a single passion, music. While other kids chased sports or mischief, Keith was transfixed by the sound of American country legends. He practiced relentlessly, performing in talent shows, his guitar practically becoming an extension of his body. By 1991, he released his debut album in Australia. The music world began to notice. But for Keith, it wasn't enough. He wanted to play where the genre lived and breathed, the United States. So in 1992, with little more than ambition, he moved to Nashville. Imagine the leap, a young man thousands of miles from home, betting everything on his talent. The risk paid off. In '99, his American self-titled album introduced him to millions. The single, But for the Grace of God, didn't just hit the charts. It went straight to #1. Overnight, Keith wasn't just another aspiring musician. He was a force in country music. His style, equal parts traditional country, pop polish, and rock swagger, set him apart in a crowded field. The awards soon followed. By 2002, he'd won CMA's Horizon Award in Male Vocalist of the Year. By 2005, he was inducted into the Grand Ole Opry, one of country music's greatest honors. And his album Be Here delivered hits like Days Go By and Making Memories of Us, songs that still echo at concerts worldwide. From the outside, it looked like a perfect rise. But behind the success, cracks were forming. Fame, pressure, and the whirlwind of touring were eating away at him, even as he stood under spotlights. Keith was battling a darker force, addiction. He entered rehab for the first time in 1998 before most of the world even knew his name. But like so many struggling with substance abuse, treatment didn't erase the problem. He pushed forward, hiding the pain while building a career, living a double life, public triumph and private collapse. By the mid-2000s, his fame had reached new heights. Yet inside, Keith was spiraling. That tension between the rising star and the struggling man set the stage for one of the most dramatic turning points in his life, his marriage to Nicole Kidman. It's here where the story of success and downfall collides, where a superstar at the peak of his career nearly lost everything. Because what came next wasn't just another award or another hit single, it was a battle for survival and the fight to hold on to love before it slipped away. Nicole Kidman's life has always looked golden from a distance. She has the statuesque beauty, the poise, the Oscars, and the kind of film career most actors can only dream of. But behind the glamour lies a story far more turbulent, one filled with betrayal, heartbreak, and the kind of scrutiny that could have destroyed her. She wasn't born into Hollywood. Nicole grew up in Sydney, a shy girl who found her escape in performance. At 16, she was already stealing scenes in films like Bush Christmas. By the time she starred in Dead Calm, Hollywood was paying attention. Almost overnight, she transformed from an Australian newcomer into a global star. And then came Tom Cruise. Their marriage made headlines around the world. Two dazzling stars, seemingly unstoppable. But what looked like a fairy tale would end in one of the most shocking divorces in Hollywood history. Nicole has admitted she never saw it coming. One day, she was married to the biggest movie star on the planet. The next, she was alone, blindsided, heartbroken, and facing whispers that her skepticism about Scientology had cost her not only her marriage but her children as well. Imagine the pain, the world dissecting your family, strangers speculating on your faith, while the children you raised are pulled further and further away. Nicole almost never spoke about it, but her silence only fueled the mystery. Was she estranged from them? Was religion the wall she couldn't climb? The truth has always been murky, but the scars are undeniable. Most people would have crumbled. Nicole did the opposite. She threw herself into her craft, taking roles that pushed her to the edge. Moulin Rouge proved she could sing, suffer, and dazzle in equal measure. Then The Hours won her an Oscar, cementing her as one of the most fearless actresses of her generation. But Hollywood is cruel. For every triumph, Nicole faced a storm. Grace of Monaco was torn apart by critics. The royal family disowned it, and the press mocked her for one of her rare missteps. Then came the AMC Theaters ad, just a minute-long monologue about the magic of movies. It was meant to be simple. Instead, it exploded into memes, parodies, and jokes. Nicole Kidman, mocked for being too dramatic, yet, ironically, becoming iconic all over again. And through it all, there was the constant obsession with her looks, Botox rumors, tabloid covers zooming in on her face instead of her performances. Nicole didn't hide. She admitted she tried Botox, hated it, and walked away. In an industry where most actresses dodge the question, she told the truth and refused to apologize for aging in front of the camera. Her greatest test, though, came with roles that cut deep. In Big Little Lies, she portrayed Celeste, a woman trapped in an abusive marriage. The performance was haunting, so real, so raw, that audiences were shaken. What they didn't know was how much it cost her. Nicole later admitted she couldn't shake the trauma after filming some nights. She carried the pain of her character home with her, and yet she kept going, because these stories needed to be told. Nicole Kidman is more than Hollywood royalty. She is proof that fame doesn't shield you from heartbreak, that beauty doesn't protect you from ridicule, and that even the strongest are pushed to the edge. But what makes her extraordinary is this: she never let it break her. She turned pain into art, ridicule into resilience, and silence into strength. So when she met Keith Urban, when their love story began, it wasn't the union of two untouchable stars. It was the meeting of two wounded souls, both carrying scars, both needing something deeper than fame. And it would be tested almost immediately in ways neither of them could have imagined. In June 2006, the world watched as Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban exchanged vows in a candlelit Sydney chapel. The media called it a fairy tale wedding, Hollywood royalty marrying a country music king. Cameras flashed, fans swooned, and headlines declared it the perfect love story. But behind that picture-perfect moment, trouble was already brewing just 4 months into their marriage. Keith shocked the world. He checked into the Betty Ford Center for drug and alcohol addiction. To the public, it looked like the dream was over before it even began. How could a marriage survive such a blow so soon? For Nicole, the choice was agonizing but clear. She could walk away, many would have, or she could fight for the man she loved, even if it meant facing demons far darker than any tabloid rumor. She chose to fight. Keith would later admit that Nicole staged an intervention, forcing him to confront what he had long tried to bury. "I didn't give her much of a choice," he confessed, "but she saved my life." That moment wasn't just about addiction. It was about love in its rawest form, messy, painful, but unwavering. This was no Hollywood script. There was no glamorous filter. Their early marriage was forged in the fire of rehab visits, late-night phone calls, and brutal honesty. Nicole had endured heartbreak before. She wasn't about to let it happen again without a fight. Keith, for his part, realized that if he didn't change, he'd lose everything, not just his career, but the one woman who truly saw him. The media swarmed. Rumors spread that their marriage was doomed, that Keith's struggles would tear them apart. But instead, it did the opposite. Keith got sober. Nicole stood by him, and together they began to rebuild. Not the glossy fantasy people expected, but a partnership grounded in survival and trust. Parenthood added a new layer to their bond. In 2008, they welcomed their first daughter, Sunday Rose. 2 years later, Faith Margaret was born via surrogate for Keith. Becoming a father wasn't just life-changing, it was life-saving. Nicole made it possible for me, he once said, not just to be a dad, but to be the kind of dad I always dreamed I could be. Yet the challenges didn't stop. Fame doesn't give couples breathing room. Paparazzi hounded them. Tabloids speculated about breakups, fertility struggles, and Keith's sobriety. Every step of their marriage unfolded under a microscope. Nicole once admitted, "We've had to become incredibly protective because there's so much noise around us. But what we have is real. We nurture it." And then there was the music. Keith's evolving sound, merging country with pop and R&B, sparked criticism. Some accused him of abandoning his roots. Others accused him of lip-syncing during live performances. Through it all, Nicole defended him, standing in the audience, cheering him on when others doubted. Keith, in turn, wrote songs of devotion that hinted at the battles they had fought and won together. The truth is, their marriage wasn't saved by grand gestures or public displays of affection. It was saved in private, through the long nights, the whispered promises, the unwavering decision to hold on when it would have been easier to let go. Their story isn't a fairy tale, it's more powerful than that. It's a testimony to what love looks like when it's tested by addiction, by fame, and by the relentless pressure of a world that wants you to fail. Because what they proved is simple. Survival can be the most romantic story of all. From the outside, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman seem untouchable. They smile on red carpets, exchange adoring glances at award shows, and speak with elegance in interviews. To fans, they look like proof that fairy tales can exist in real life. But behind that flawless image is a constant tug-of-war between who they really are and what the world expects them to be. Fame doesn't just magnify success, it magnifies every rumor, every flaw, every misstep. For Nicole, the glare was even harsher. Hollywood has always been brutal toward women, and Nicole was no exception. She wasn't judged solely on her performances, but on her face, her body, her age. Gossip sites picked apart her appearance, speculated about Botox, and mocked her AMC ad, even as audiences kept buying tickets to her films. She wasn't just playing characters, she was forced to play the role of perfect Hollywood actress, even when her private life was anything but. And then there was the paparazzi. In 2012, Keith and Nicole had a run-in with photographers in Los Angeles who chased them through the streets. Cameras flashing, boundaries crossed. It wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. Incidents like these reignited debates about celebrity privacy. But for them, it was personal. They weren't just stars, they were parents trying to protect their daughters from growing up in a fishbowl. Nicole once admitted in an interview, "We've had to create walls around us, not to shut people out, but to keep what's real safe." That single statement reveals the truth. What fans see is only half the story. The other half is carefully guarded, preserved for family dinners, quiet mornings, and moments no camera will ever capture. Yet, despite the scrutiny, they endured. They didn't just survive fame, they bent it to their will. Keith kept reinventing his music, refusing to let critics define him. Nicole kept choosing roles that scared her, that stretched her. Even when they came with backlash, Together, they turned their public image into something more powerful than a glossy facade, a shield that allowed them to protect what mattered most. And maybe that's the secret, not perfection, but protection. Not the performance of love, but the practice of it, day after day, in private, when no one is watching. For the audience, it's easy to forget that celebrities are human. We see the gowns, the guitars, the awards, the Instagram posts, but behind it all, Keith and Nicole have lived through struggles that mirror our own. Addiction, family fractures, criticism, heartbreak, and the daily choice to stay committed when it would be easier to walk away. That's what makes their story resonate. It's not just a celebrity romance, it's a lesson, a reminder that even under the harshest spotlight, love can survive if both people are willing to fight for it. When people talk about Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman, it's easy to focus on the glittering surface, the music awards, the Oscar statues, the breathtaking red carpet appearances. But peel back the layers and their story becomes something far more powerful. It isn't about fame, it's about survival. Think about it, 4 months into their marriage, Keith was in rehab. Nicole was facing the possibility of losing everything she had just found, and tabloids were circling like vultures. Most marriages don't survive that kind of storm, let alone one lived in public. And yet, here they are, nearly 2 decades later, still together, still raising their daughters, still writing their story on their own terms. What makes their journey compelling isn't perfection, it's the cracks, the moments where addiction nearly won, where divorce loomed, where criticism was louder than applause. Those were the crucibles that tested their bond, and instead of breaking, they rebuilt. Instead of giving up, they chose each other again and again. There's a reason Keith often credits Nicole with saving his life, because she didn't just marry the country star, she stood by the broken man. And there's a reason Nicole calls Keith her grounding force, because after years of Hollywood chaos, she finally found someone who offered stability, even in his imperfection. Their story challenges the fantasy we often attach to celebrity couples. It reminds us that behind every glossy magazine cover, there are private battles we'll never fully see. More importantly, it reminds us that the strength of a marriage isn't measured by how perfect it looks. It's measured by how much 2 people are willing to fight for each other when life gets messy. And isn't that something we can all relate to? Maybe we don't live under paparazzi flashbulbs or headline gossip, but we all face struggles that threaten to pull us apart. Financial pressures, health crises, addictions, betrayals, or just the slow grind of daily life. Keith and Nicole's story doesn't tell us that love is easy. It tells us that love is work, hard, unglamorous, relentless work. And that work is what makes it worth keeping. So the next time you see Keith Urban strumming his guitar on stage, or Nicole Kidman commanding the screen with her elegance, remember what keeps them standing isn't just talent. It's resilience, it's loyalty, it's the decision to keep showing up for each other, no matter how heavy the burden. And maybe that's the real takeaway for us, that the most extraordinary love stories aren't the ones without scars. They're the ones where scars become proof that love endured. Now I want to turn the question over to you. What do you think truly holds a marriage together? Is it passion, trust, forgiveness, or something deeper?